Supportive housing is a combination of housing and services intended as a cost-effective way to help people live more stable, productive lives, and is an active community services and funding stream across the United States. Supportive housing is widely believed to work well for those who face the most complex challenges, individuals and families confronted with homelessness, and who also have very low incomes and/or serious, persistent issues that may include addiction or alcoholism, mental health, HIV/AIDS, diverse disabilities, for example, intellectual disabilities, mobility or sensory impairments, or other serious challenges to a successful life. Supportive housing can be coupled with such social services as job training, life skills training, alcohol and drug abuse programs, community support services, for example, child care, educational programs, coffee clinics, and case management to populations in need of assistance. Supportive housing is intended to be a pragmatic solution that helps people have better lives while reducing, to the extent feasible, the overall cost of care. As community housing, supportive housing can be developed as mixed income, scattered site housing not only through the traditional route of low income and building complexes. Supportive/ed housing has been widely researched in the field of psychiatric disabilities and psychiatric rehabilitation, based in part on housing and support principles from studies of leading community integration organizations nationally. In addition, supportive/ed housing has been tied to national initiatives in supportive/ed living, usually developmental and intellectual disabilities, to cross-disability transfer, and to national and international efforts on developing homes of one's own. Supported housing in the field of mental health is considered to be a critical component of a community support system, which may involve supported education, supported or transitional employment, case management services, clubhouses, supported recreation and involvement of family and friends, often translated into psychoeducational programs. As a widely supported means to address homelessness, that is, lack of a place to live or adequate housing, supportive housing seeks to address two key problems. Without housing, there is at best a highly problematic basis from which to mitigate the factors which lead to homelessness, for example, lack of adequate income and expensive problems which burden social service systems. Without supportive services, the tenant is likely to regress, have a difficult time, for the reasons that are presumed by service providers and government, to lead to their loss of housing in the first place. In the capacity building context, support services can be integral to maintaining the housing, the tenant or cooperative relationships, the financial and economic security, the contribution to the family and neighborhoods, and the growth opportunities to return to a valued life situation. Supportive housing encompasses a range of approaches, including single sites, housing developments or apartment buildings in which units are designated as supportive housing, or scattered site programs in which participants often use rent subsidies to obtain housing from private landlord, and supportive services may be provided through home visits. Services in supportive housing are flexible and primarily focused on the outcome of housing stability. New approaches to supportive/ed housing include explorations of home ownership for people with disabilities, and a range of diverse consumer-directed, personal assistance and community support services focused on community integration and support. Most common, however, with collaborations involving state, federal and local governments and non-profit sectors, are congregate housing programs with service enhancements and increasing choices. From 2002 to 2007, an estimated 65,000 to 72,000 units of supportive housing were created in the United States. This represents about half the supply of supported housing units. Of the new units added, about half were targeted towards chronically homeless individuals, and 1/5 were for homeless families. Although of the shelter population, probably by design, the majority remain as single, adult males of minority groups. Approximately 65%, 38% were between 31 and 50 years old, and 38% had a disability. The rest were homeless families with a high concentration, likely due to high housing costs, in the states of California, New York and Florida.